morning.
Good morning.
Oh, it feels like a long time since we've done this, Dr. Mary. Now, for all of you nervous, namely Bonnie Bowman, I'll just take a big drink of tea and then you don't have to be anxiety-ridden that I'm going to spill tea. Sorry about that. But it's kind of hot, so I can't take a huge drink. But I rarely spill, so it's okay.
This is true.
I hope you enjoyed parts 4, 5, and 6 of our first 9-part series. We will finish those up next week. And then yesterday's pre-recorded conversation with Terrence Lundy, that was just to save Terrence from having to get up at 2:30 in the morning because he lives in Hawaii. What a lucky, lucky man.
Yes, he is.
So if you didn't watch Terrence's interview with us, I really encourage you to go back and watch it. It's a little bit long because he had a lot to say, but it was pretty important content, and the way that he's thinking about how to assist other addicts in their own sobriety journey is really interesting. I think for me, and I'll be interested to know your thoughts on this, for me, one of the things that has been so fascinating to learn in the Guest Thursday conversations has just been all of the various ways that people come to sobriety. There is not one path, just like there's not one path to losing weight or one path to getting a college degree or one path to parenting. There's no one path. So I think as people go through rehab or sobriety journeys, however they do that, they pick up bits and pieces which they can then adapt for themselves and share with others on the journey. It's why having a mentor or a sponsor or somebody in community with you who can say, boy, I totally understand that, is so important, right?
Yes, yes it is.
Do you have anything to add to that?
And also, I think I mentioned this a long time, I won't say years ago, but
It's like it.
many months ago is, I heard a story about someone who asked their sponsor for advice. Their sponsor didn't know, so their sponsor asked their sponsor, and it's called grandfathering advice. Which I think
I
is
prefer
brilliant.
grandparenting.
Yeah, well, your sponsor has to be the same gender as you.
Okay.
So yes, grandparenting advice. There you go. Fair point.
Yeah.
But you know, you can get advice built on advice. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Think if there was only one way to parent, how difficult that would be. Or one way to practice spirituality, or one way to do anything. There's a reason that we are, that 5 million books are written about self-help, because there isn't only, we're pet sitting a small dog and she just wedged her way through. There isn't only one way to do almost anything. So I think that's why math was never good for me. There's kind of only one answer to math, and I seemed to never ever be able to find it.
Well, yeah. Well, no, it depends how many.
I know, math people would say there are multiple ways to do, okay, whatever. So we, many of you know this, but not everyone knows this. We had to make a tough decision last Friday and put our girl Lily down, which I don't love that phrase, but how else do you say it? We took her in for an appointment at 11, regular vet appointment, and it became pretty clear that she was in worse shape than we kind of thought she was. So we brought her home and we made her some steak and we gave her lots of pets and love, and we live streamed with everybody who needed to live stream with her. And then we walked her back to the vet, and
where she got more treats.
Where she got treats, literally as she was being sedated, she was chomping on treats. And boy, it was sad. It's still sad.
It is still sad.
Yeah. Dr. Mary is having a harder time than I am because she's his very first pet ever. And
well, I had a goldfish once.
Yes. And she was as much his girl as Quinn's. So his suggestion for today was that we go through the lessons that I wrote about that we learned
Yes,
from
because
Lily.
they're good, and they're good advice for everybody. That's
And
what
I
we
asked
do.
him if he thought he could read them, and he
And
said,
I said,
"Oh no."
That's absolutely not. So Dana's going to do this.
So I will. I'm sorry, do most of the speaking today. You can.
I'll just
chime
sit
in.
here with a sniffle.
You sniffle, yes. I don't know that you've done much crying on Daily Dose. I cry on a quarterly basis.
Yeah,
So
you cry at the movie theater.
it's true. I cry at commercials. All right. So here's some things that we learned.
Dana
from...
cries for one or two reasons at a movie theatre. One, because the film is absolutely gut-bustingly fantastic. Or two, I've dragged her to see some weird crap that no one else should ever see.
I do cry over poor acting. Okay. These are 5 lessons we've learned from Lily. Eat the treats. Literally, as they were administering the sedative that would calm her down so they could give her the IV to put her to sleep, she was happily gobbling up treats from everyone in the room. The thing that we know about Lil is that she probably never tasted a bite of food in her entire
never.
life because she was like a vacuum. If you offered treats, food, snacks, she was on it. In fact, I have to laugh because she lost most of her sight and most of her hearing unless you decided to open a box of crackers.
Then she was there.
In which case, if she were 3 rooms away, having been snoring for 2 hours, somehow she dragged herself up and was out to have a snack. So she was not a girl to skip the treats. And the reason that I think that this is an important lesson is because how often do we deny ourselves a small, simple joy because we think we shouldn't, or we are trying to lose weight, or we don't deserve it, or whatever. You are not going to get to the end of your life and think, oh, thank goodness I didn't have that snack. I know you're not. Now, that doesn't mean you should snack every single time the spirit calls you, because then we'd all weigh 700 pounds. You were going to say something.
Dana asked me this morning. She said, "Oh, that's a great idea, but how are we going to relate this to Daily Dose?" A lot of people, I even said it myself, I didn't get help because I didn't think I deserved it. You do deserve help. The treat is, at that point, to get help for your addiction.
Nice. Well done. Okay, so eat the snacks.
I'm trying to keep this together.
Eat the snacks.
Eat the snacks. Think about that.
2, do the very best you can for those you love. So Lily was a golden retriever. She was almost 15 years old, which is incredibly long for a golden retriever to live. They average 10 to 12 years. But Lil was an incredibly big walker as a puppy, and well into her middle years. In fact, I would say she was a long walker until about a year ago.
Yeah.
And so even though these last weeks and months have been hard for her, and we've cut our walks way down. I mean, the walks we were doing last week were just around the block. Even though she was in some back pain, she had some arthritis, her sight was definitely diminished, because it was what we did with her and she knew that we loved it, she got herself up every single time we pulled out her leash to go for a walk, because she understood that that was a way that we showed love to her and she could return that love to us. That's a really beautiful thing to do.
Yes, it is.
I sometimes say yes to the Olive Garden for the same reason.
Oh, thank
Dr.
you.
Mary loves
I
the
do.
Olive Garden. He'd go every day because when you're there, you're family. He believes it. He feels it. He wants to eat the chicken piccata or whatever it is he eats every day. And sometimes I think to myself, you know what? I'll do the very best I can for the person I love, and I'll say yes to the Olive Garden.
I was meeting a group of academics. They usually have this Friday drink, and when I went there soon after I became an American citizen, and everyone was congratulating me. So we started talking about the questions I was asked, and they said, one of them asked me if Dana took me to my favourite restaurant. I said, well, yes, but I think she would have gone to her favourite restaurant and my second favourite restaurant, which is Luna. So then he asked, what's your first favourite, what's your favourite restaurant? And I said, well, it's the Olive Garden. And one person said to me, was that one of the questions you had to answer? Why? And then the whole thing is, why is the Olive Garden? Because it's very American of me, apparently.
You're very off topic.
I am. Keep going.
Thank you. 3, stay close. Lil was with me almost everywhere I went. I picked Lily out of her litter, and she just imprinted on me. That's not to say she didn't like Maz, that she didn't like Quinn.
She followed me around a lot.
But if I was in the sunroom,
Oh, yes.
Lily was in the sunroom. If I was in the basement, Lily was in the basement. And it didn't matter. If we were out shoveling, Lily was out in the snow. Wherever we were, Lily was. And that's another really, really lovely thing. So I said, keep close to your family, however you define that. I don't mean biologic family, because not everybody cares about their biological family. I mean the people you've chosen to be important in your life.
There is a family part to AA and recovery too. They do become people you really trust.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that as well.
Number 4, ask for what you want. Lily was never shy about letting us know what she wanted. She would have preferred in her entire life if I had just simply been a full-time petter.
Yes.
It was always distressing to her. I could pet her for 15 minutes and she would have wanted 15 more. It just didn't matter. So she was very clear about asking for what she wanted. If you watch the photo montage that I put together in the link that I'll put on the site, or if you've already seen it, you probably saw that little video I posted. So all you see is my hand, and I'm lying down and Lil is sitting next to me.
Looking rather regal, I think.
So I'm petting her right here, and when I stop, she does this. And I do it again, and I stop.
Yeah.
And it's this whole back and forth thing, and that's what Lil would have liked. I always knew what Lily wanted. We always knew. And there's something really remarkable about just saying, here's what I want, here's what I need. We are not very good at that in the Midwest because we think we shouldn't be forward. We think it's a little bit aggressive. So instead, we passive-aggressively ask for what we want, and then we're disappointed when we don't get it. Lil was disappointed, but that's only because she wanted a lifetime of pets.
One of the things we were taught when I was in rehab is never be passive-aggressive.
Oh, okay.
You have to make decisions, so make them.
Number 5, don't play coy. If you love someone, let them know. If you dislike someone, let them know. What is the point of having internal emotions? Let me tell you about a man I dated before Maz, who was very serious to me. Early in our relationship, I said to him, I think I'm in love with you. Clearly, I was a fool. How could I have been in love with anyone else?
Absolutely misguided.
Anyway, I said this to him.
Well, you were young.
So young. I said this to him. I said, I think I'm in love with you. And he said, I have to think about that. Okay, first of all, he clearly didn't need to think about it because he didn't feel the same way about me. And second of all, that should have been my cue to say, oh gosh, if you don't feel that way about me, then let me do you the favor of sending you on your way. Not because you're a bad person, but because I'm not the right person for you. If you don't feel comfortable with my ability to express my emotions, you are never going to be comfortable with me. So what is the point of playing coy? When we came in, we knew Lily was ecstatic to see us, literally until the day she died.
Yeah.
Towards the end of her life, she would lay on her side, and Mazzy would say, Lil, we're home, and you'd hear this. And it was her tail thumping on the ground. She always let us know how she felt. And there's a lot to be said for that. How you doing, Dr. Mary?
Good.
Live TV, Dr. Mary.
I'm thinking of a segue to addiction. Yes, you as an addict, you might feel like people are just berating you or just getting at you or just doing this. It's because of don't play coy. They want you to get help. They want to help you. They want you to help yourself. Listen to them.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing about addiction. It's a lesson you can learn from a dog.
Who knew Lil taught us addiction and recovery lessons? She was smarter than we gave her credit for.
Well, literature is replete about examples of how dogs can treat you lessons in life. I mean,
That's true.
in any book you read where an animal is involved, that's what they talk about.
It's true. It's true.
You know, what the parents talked about when if you read science fiction, when parents would refuse to get their dog, although you can do it now, get your dog cloned. You don't, because you have to understand that every life is precious.
Mm-hmm.
That's why every kid should have a dog, because they learn lots of life from looking at a dog.
Okay. Well, we had our good run with our girl. It was incredibly sad. I'm actually really grateful that she's gone, because the heat last weekend would have been hard on her and she wasn't going to get better. And it was the kindest thing that we could do, and in some ways the most selfless thing that we could do, because we were keeping her for us, not for her.
Yes, actually we were.
So, take the lessons. If you have a pup or a cat or a rabbit or whatever, guinea pig, iguana, whatever you've got.
If you have a pet snake, why?
Yeah. Give them some extra love today, because
unless
the
it's a
time
constrictor,
goes.
give it a
Stop
hug.
it! Because the time goes really, really fast. You're way off topic. You're out of practice.
I am. Yes.
We'll be back next Thursday live. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll wrap up our 9-part series. Have an excellent weekend. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.